park today, or, maybe you're just staring at your screen at home, you probably think you're handicapping a horse race.
Right. Yeah. Most people do.
I mean, you've got your Brisnet past performances spread out all over the table, right? You're circling the speed figures, you're highlighting class ratings, calculating trainer percentages. But the reality is you aren't handicapping a horse race at all.
No, not even a little bit.
You're handicapping a ghost. I mean, you are basically putting your money on this static prediction of a race that it doesn't actually exist. You're taking these isolated performances from the past, which are trapped in, completely different bubbles and contexts, and you're blindly projecting that these animals will behave exactly the same way when they're thrown into a totally new, highly volatile environment.
It's the ultimate illusion of control. We desperately want those past performances to be a guarantee.
Oh, absolutely. We want a sure thing.
Yeah, and it's funny, right? Because usually when you talk about a diagnosis in something like, say, medicine or engineering, there's this expectation of precision. You break your arm, the X-ray shows a jagged white line on the radius, and the doctor just points to it and says, there is the fracture. It's visible. It's neatly categorized.
Right. It's binary. Broken or not broken. You can point right to the actual problem.
Exactly. But when you step into the world of high-stakes, thoroughbred handicapping, especially in a field as deep and talented as this one, that diagnostic X-ray machine just completely shatters.
Yeah, it's useless.
It really is. The landscape is inherently murky. We are not dealing with machines running on a predetermined track. A horse race is, well, fundamentally, it's a moving pressure system.
Moving pressure system. I like that.
Yeah, because the ink on the Brisnet sheets you're holding in your hand, that ink is entirely dry. The numbers are static. But the actual event out there on the dirt, it breathes, it mutates. I mean, it's influenced by crowd noise, the track surface, jockey psychology, and, just the sheer animal intimidation of a 1,000-pound competitor breathing right down your neck.
And that is exactly why we're pulling out the heavy analytical machinery for you today. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, our mission is to just completely deconstruct Race 13 at Laurel Park.
And that's a massive one.
Oh, it's huge. The Preakness Stakes, grade 1 and 3/16 miles on the dirt, and there's a cool $2 million purse on the line. And to do this properly, we're drawing really heavily on the updated Racing Form report, specifically the Preakness Stakes What If Edition.
Yeah, the What If Edition is gold for this.
It really is. So we're taking the raw data from the Brisnet sheets, and we're combining it with the principles of the herd geometry handicapping system to understand the physical and, honestly, the psychological shape this race is going to take.
And having that framework is just critical. Herd geometry isn't the sole focus of our analysis today, but it is the lens through which we have to interpret this data.
Right, it's the tool.
Exactly. It allows us to stop looking at horses as just, isolated speed figures and start looking at them as interactive components of an entire system.
Yeah.
Because every single horse that loads into that starting gate either creates pressure, absorbs pressure, avoids pressure, or uniquely benefits from the pressure created by the others.
Okay, let's unpack this, because this is where it gets really interesting for you as a bettor. If we abandon the basic question of who is the fastest horse on paper, we have to replace it with something better.
Much better.
And the What If report centers our entire approach around a much more dangerous and, frankly, a much more lucrative question, which is, what happens to the speed figures when the expected race never actually materializes?
Yeah, that's the $1 million puzzle right there. Or, well, the $2 million puzzle in this case. Because before we can start mapping out the chaos of all these alternate realities, we have to deeply understand the public's baseline expectation. What does the betting public think is going to happen based on just a surface-level reading of the static Brisnet form?
Right. What's the narrative?
Exactly. And to grasp that, we really have to analyze the clustering in the front layer of this field.
Oh, man. The tactical traffic jam. I'm looking at the early pace ratings right now, and the sheer volume of horses demanding forward position in this race is staggering.
It's crowded up there.
That's an understatement. We've got half the field programmed by their natural run styles to do the exact same thing. Down on the inside, you have Taj Mahal and Crupper, right? Both are designated as EP6 types.
Yep.
Then you have Robusta and Talkin sitting right there as EP5s. Then you've got Chip Honcho, who is a true E7. And then on the outside, there's just this wall of pressing speed. The Hell We Did is an EP8, Iron Honor is an EP7, Napoleon Solo is an EP7, and Corona de Oro is an EP8.
It is a geometric nightmare for these jockeys.
It really is. I mean, my gut tells me this isn't just a simple case of, oh, they'll go fast.
No, not at all.
It feels more like, think about a drafting peloton in the Tour de France.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Right, where nobody wants to be the one taking the wind to the face, but absolutely everyone is terrified of losing their position at the front of the pack. I mean, if you're driving on a highway and 9 cars all want to merge into the exact same fast lane at the exact same time, somebody is hitting the brakes. How does that translate to a $2 million horse race going into the first turn?
Well, the consequence is just relentless grinding friction.
Yeah.
I mean, in a cycling peloton, if you get boxed in, yeah, you lose momentum, but you don't necessarily crash.
Sure.
But in a dirt race, going a mile and 3/16, if 9 horses try to funnel into the same comfortable pressing lane, the physical toll is immense. They all want first touch on the race.
First touch, right.
Yeah, they want to be forward. But here is the critical distinction that you have to understand. They want to be forward comfortably.
Comfortably, that's
Yeah.
the key word.
They do not want a dogfight. They want to establish tactical position without, emptying their lungs in the first half mile. But physics absolutely dictates that 9 horses cannot occupy the same comfortable forward space. It's just not possible.
So they're going to soften each other up without necessarily running like a crazy 44-second half mile.
Yes, they are burning energy, just fighting for the right to relax.
Fighting for the right to relax. Wow.
And that subtle energy burn brings us to the herd geometry shape read from the What If report. When the system ingests all these early pace figures, the clustering of these E7s and EP8s, it calculates a race stability score.
Right, the stability score.
And for this specific Preakness field, the score comes out to a 7.8 to 8.0 out of 10.
Okay, I really want to break that score down because it sounds ominous. I mean, a 7.8 isn't just a random number, right? It represents the structural integrity of the race.
Exactly. Think of it like a bridge.
Okay, so if a 1 or a 2 is a slow, methodical procession where nobody challenges the leader like a totally stable bridge, what mathematically drives this score all the way up to an 8.0?
It's calculated by taking the aggregate early energy expenditure that's required by the field and then dividing it by the available tactical space.
Okay, so energy divided by space.
Right. When you have multiple horses designated as EP7s and 8s, and they are drawn on the outside of pure speed horses, the algorithm recognizes a huge problem. It sees that the horses on the outside have to run significantly faster just to clear the horses on the inside.
Which obviously forces the inside horses to accelerate just to defend their position.
Exactly. And that 7.8 to 8.0 range on the scale, that is officially classified as a fracture or sharp collapse risk.
A sharp collapse risk, meaning the front end isn't going to just, get tired and fade away slowly. It's going to hit a wall.
Yes, exactly. A stable front race erodes gradually. The leader gets a little tired. The second horse slowly grinds past them. You know the deal. But a fracture risk means the entire front pack is going to snap suddenly, likely right as they hit the far turn or the top of the stretch. The pressure just exceeds the structural integrity of the group, and they all fall apart simultaneously.
Man, that changes everything about how you bet this.
It really does.
Yeah.
Because the report projects a sharp collapse, it completely dictates the profile of the horse we actually want to bet. The projected winning type is not the early speed, obviously.
Obviously not.
But crucially, it is also not the deep one-run closer.
Wait, really? Not the deep closer?
Nope. The system projects the winner here to be a satellite, or a true stalking P-type horse.
A satellite. Okay, that terminology makes perfect sense. They orbit the heat of the front pace, but they don't fly too close to the sun.
That is the perfect visualization. Yeah, a satellite sits in the secondary flight, just behind the friction. They're close enough to strike the front fractures, but they're insulated enough from the tactical crowding that they aren't burning any emotional energy.
That's fascinating.
And the core doctrine here, this is honestly one of my favorites in all of handicapping, is ghosts collect pieces, satellites collect wins.
Okay, I want to pull the thread on that doctrine because it feels counterintuitive to a lot of bettors. Usually, when people predict a hot, contested pace, their instinct is to look for the horse dead last, right?
Oh, all the time.
The one who is 20 lengths back, assuming the leaders will just completely stop. Why does the satellite have the advantage over the ghost in an 8.0 fracture?
It all comes down to the physics of momentum and the timing of the collapse.
Okay.
A ghost is your deep closer. They are sitting way back, totally detached from the field. If the race melts down into absolute nuclear devastation, say a 9.5 on the stability scale, sure, a ghost can win.
Right, because everyone else is walking.
Exactly. But in a 7.8 fracture, the leader stops suddenly at the top of the stretch. The satellite is sitting right there, maybe 2 lengths back. So the moment the leaders hit the wall, the satellite inherits the momentum vacuum. They take the lead effortlessly.
While the ghost is still 10 lengths back.
Precisely. The ghost is still trying to build momentum while navigating through the tired, drifting bodies of the horses that just collapsed. The ghost arrives too late.
So they collect the pieces for third or fourth?
Yep. The satellite collects the win because they inherit the lead before the ghost even arrives on the TV screen.
That is a brilliant distinction. The wall hits the leaders before the deep closers expect it to. But this is exactly where the betting public falls right into the traps laid out in the static Brisnet form. Because let's be honest, the public isn't calculating momentum vacuums or stability scores.
No, they are looking at raw, shiny numbers.
And the numbers are incredibly seductive. I mean, the Racing Form report identifies 2 massive public traps in this race. Track number 1 is the fundamental assumption that the horse with the highest speed figure automatically gets a free, uncontested lead.
Yeah, it's a killer.
And in this field, the public is going to look at the number 1 horse, Taj Mahal, and they are going to empty their wallets.
You absolutely cannot blame a casual bettor for seeing a monster on that page. I mean, he looks incredible.
It's hard not to fall in love. Let's list the credentials for a second. He has a 101 last race speed figure from his win in the Federico Tessio Stakes on April 18th.
Huge number.
Right. He is completely undefeated in 3 career starts. His prime power rating is 144.6, which is the second highest in the entire massive field. He drew the absolute inside rail, giving him the shortest way around the track. And to top it all off, he fired a billet 5 furlong workout on May 9th, stopping the clock in 1 minute flat.
He's checking all the boxes.
Every single one. The narrative just writes itself. The undefeated speed horse on the rail is going to wire the field.
And look, he is stepping up in class, sure, but he's a son of Nyquist, and his trainer, Brittany Russell, is striking at an absurd 32%. He's a serious elite talent. We aren't denying that.
Right, we're not saying he's a bad horse.
But his talent isn't the variable we are questioning here. The variable is his comfort. Trap 1 is the lethal assumption that a horse with exceptional speed gets to use that speed efficiently.
Ah, right. Because a 101 speed figure earned in a vacuum is very, very different from a 101 earned in a street fight.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Let's look at his run style for a second. Taj Mahal is an EP6.
Okay.
He isn't a pure run-off-the-screen front-runner. He is an early presser. And he is stuck on the inside rail. Rail speed is only a weapon when the horse is comfortable.
Right, if nobody challenges him.
Yeah, if he breaks and nobody challenges him, the rail is a highway. But if he has to protect that inside fence from Chip Honcho, Iron Honor, the hell we did basically 8 other horses we just listed who all won his exact spot, he has to expend an enormous amount of physical and emotional energy just to hold his ground.
So he isn't running his own race anymore. He is reacting to everyone else's race.
Exactly. He becomes the fuel for the fracture.
Wow. If he is forced to run a 45-second half mile just to keep Chip Honcho from crossing over on him, that 101 speed figure from the Tessio becomes completely irrelevant. His oxygen debt will just be too high by the time they hit the stretch.
That is exactly the mechanic at play. If the answer to the question, will he be comfortable, is yes, then yeah, he probably wires the field.
Sure.
But if the answer is no, his immense talent merely serves to make the pace faster and more destructive. He becomes one of the primary reasons the race tips perfectly into the lap of a stalking satellite.
Which flows right into Trap 2, which the report highlights. And that's the tendency to treat every horse near the front of the pack as equally dangerous.
This happens all the time.
Right. When bettors look at the past performances, they see all these horses with 1s and 2s at the first and second calls of their previous races. They see a wall of early speed, and they just assume it's a lottery of who survives.
Yeah, they treat them like they're all the same.
But the What If report insists that an E7, like Chip Honcho, and an EP8, like the hell we did, are fundamentally different animals even if they occupy the exact same space on the track.
They are completely different. You have to realize run-style labels on a Brisnet sheet are silhouettes. They aren't conclusions.
Okay, expand on that.
You have to understand why a horse is near the front. Some of these horses are actively shaping the race, while others are simply suffering from the shape of the race.
Okay, break that down for me. What is the functional difference between an E7 and an EP8 in this specific crowding scenario we're looking at?
All right, so an E7, like Chip Honcho, is a pure early speed horse. His entire physiological makeup and his training dictate that he must participate in the early pace.
He has no choice.
Right. He is naturally committed to the front layer. He creates the weather, so to speak.
Got it.
An EP8, on the other hand, is an early presser with high tactical speed. They have the ability to be forward, but they don't necessarily want to dictate the terms.
They rather stalk if they could.
Exactly. However, because they are an 8, they have enough natural gate speed that they often get sucked into a pace duel they never actually wanted to initiate.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, so if an EP8 gets dragged into a fight with a true E7, the EP8 is going to wilt. They are using their speed defensively, which is just exhausting.
So they're running fast, but they hate it.
Exactly. This race is less about raw ability and entirely about which horse's trigger point survives the crowding.
Okay, so if Taj Mahal is the anchor holding this volatile, crowded front together, what happens when that anchor is dragged into the deep water?
It gets messy.
It really does. Who is the horse sitting right in the slipstream waiting for the front to fracture? Because the report upgrades the number 12, incredible, massively upon deeper review.
Massive upgrade, yes.
Let's dive into our cast of characters, starting with our top pick here, the clean satellite.
Incredibolt is the absolute prototype for what this 7.8 fracture requires. The Brisnet form shows he is a true P2 run style. He is a pure presser.
So he's not fighting early.
Not at all. He is not another one of the many EP bodies trying to live in that same forward lane. He's perfectly content to let the traffic jam happen right in front of him. And that separation from the EP band is absolutely vital for his survival.
I'm looking at his recent history, and, it's a bit of a mixed bag on the surface. He's coming off a 94 speed figure in the Kentucky Derby, where he finished 6th. His Brisnet prime power is strong, sitting at 142.7. But to really understand him, I feel like we have to look back 2 starts ago to his win in the Virginia Derby on March 14th. He posted a 100-speed figure there. What happened in that race that makes him the model for today?
The Virginia Derby was a masterclass in satellite geometry. If you go back and watch the replay of that race, you see exactly what we want to happen today at Laurel Park.
What did he do?
Well, he didn't rush out of the gate. He let 2 horses run away and initiate a duel. He just tucked in right behind them, sitting in the pocket. For a whole mile, he just tracked the pressure.
He just watched them fight.
Exactly. He let the leaders absorb all the wind and all the friction. As they came off the far turn, the leaders began to labor. The moment they drifted and slowed, Incredibolt's jockey just angled him out slightly, found the clean path, and he kicked clear effortlessly.
Wow.
He triggered his run at the exact geometric moment the pace collapsed.
But I have to play devil's advocate here, because intermediate bettors are going to look at his page and see a glaring issue. He finished 6th in the Kentucky Derby. He was actually beaten in that race by Ocelli, who finished 3rd. And Ocelli is also running here today in the Preakness.
Right, that's the obvious counter-argument.
So if Ocelli beat him at Churchill Downs, why is Incredibolt the top pick at Laurel Park?
It's a fantastic question, and the answer lies entirely in the trip notes and the concept of contest tolerance.
Contest tolerance.
Yeah. You cannot just look at the final placement on the sheet. You have to look at the physical toll of the journey. Incredibolt's Kentucky Derby run was significantly better than it looks at a casual glance.
Okay, let's look at the notes.
The Brisnet comment line for his Derby trip reads, "Altered, bumped, kept on."
Kept on. That is such a loaded phrase in race reading, isn't it? It implies he was taking damage but didn't quit.
Exactly. Let's map his Derby trip. He drew post 9 in a massive 18-horse field. He didn't get a clean break. He was 13th at the first call, completely swallowed by a pack. He was 14th at the half-mile pole.
Just buried.
Buried. He was eating dirt, getting bumped by horses, shifting lanes, having his path altered. And despite absorbing all that physical contact and emotional noise, he still managed to pass over half the field in the stretch to finish 6th.
That requires an incredible amount of mental toughness from a horse. A lot of horses, when they get bumped and lose their position early, they just throw in the towel.
Oh, yeah. The lactic acid builds up, the adrenaline spikes in the wrong way, and they just fade out of the picture completely.
But he kept on.
Yes, his contest tolerance is elite. He proved he can handle race noise without completely losing his shape. And today, the geometry is entirely in his favor.
Because he draws post 12.
Exactly. He is stationed on the outside of that massive tactical traffic jam we talked about. He can let the inside horses sprint in a panic toward the first turn, carve out a clean, unobstructed path on the outside, because remember, in herd geometry, outside is powerful when chaos starts. And he can calmly inherit the lead when the 7.8 fracture inevitably occurs.
Okay, the logic for Incredibolt is rock solid. He's insulated from the chaos. But I want to return to the danger horse, the rail anchor, number one, Taj Mahal.
We have to.
I know we talked about him as a public trap, but I want to push back again. When a horse has a 144.6 prime power rating, which weights recent speed, class, pace, and form all into one algorithm, and he is undefeated, and he has Sheldon Russell, one of the smartest riders on the circuit, in the irons.
Yeah.
How do we confidently leave him off the top of our tickets? Let's dissect that Federico Tessio win. He won by a length and a half, driving hard on the rail. He looked completely dominant.
He did look dominant. But we aren't betting against his talent.
Okay.
If this were a solitary time trial, he would win by 5 lengths.
Easily.
We were betting against his geometry. Taj Mahal is categorized as an anchor, but under this specific shape, he is highly vulnerable to becoming a false anchor.
A false anchor, meaning he looks like he controls the race, but he's actually trapped by it.
Precisely. Every horse has a trigger point, the specific tactical scenario where they become dangerous and deploy their maximum energy. Taj Mahal's trigger point is the lead or clear, unharassed pressing control.
All right, comfort.
But he has never, in his 3 career starts, faced a field with this much-layered, aggressive pace. In the Tessio Stakes, he went the opening half-mile in 47-1.
Which is a very comfortable cruising speed for a horse of his calorie.
Extremely comfortable. He was breathing rhythmically. Nobody was looking him in the eye. But today,
Yeah, today is different.
if Chip Honcho from post 6 or Robusta from 3 and Iron Honor from 9 all decide they want a piece of the lead, Taj Mahal might be forced to run a half-mile in 46 flat, or even 45-4, just to hold his position on the rail.
And as the herd geometry rules state, speed only matters if speed gets comfortable.
Exactly. If Taj Mahal is pressed from the outside and denied that rhythmic comfort, his trigger point is completely neutralized. He becomes the exhausted pace horse that the winner-like Incredibolt simply inhales at the top of the stretch.
That makes a lot of sense. That is the most probable outcome based on the shape. He will fight bravely, but the math is just against him.
It is. But of course, if the rest of the jockeys respect him too much and let him clear easily, well, we'll get into that danger in our anti-chaos scenarios later.
Right, right. Let's move to the horse that beat Incredibolt in the Derby. The deep closer, the ghost of the field, number 2, Oselli.
Oselli is fascinating.
He posted a massive 97 speed figure in that Kentucky Derby third-place finish. He is a P2 just like Incredibolt, but he operates in a completely different tactical hemisphere, doesn't he?
Completely different. Oselli is categorized in the report as a ghost or a late P collector. He is a much deeper closer than Incredibolt. If we analyze his Derby run, he was 17th at the first call.
17th, he was miles out of it.
Miles.
And the Brisnet comments for his trip are wild. It says he was crowded and then forced 5 to 7 paths wide on the second turn.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Do you realize the geometry of losing that much ground? If you are 7 paths wide on a turn, you are running significantly farther than the horses on the inside. To run that much extra distance and still lead late before finishing third, that means his late engine is an absolute freak of nature.
His late engine is undeniable. The fact that he kept grinding after suffering that much wide trouble tells us his stamina is elite. He is a closer who does not need a perfect ground-saving trip to fire his best shot.
So my logical deduction here is, if he closed into a messy Derby and ran third despite a terrible trip, and today we are projecting a 7.8 fracture with massive pace pressure up front, why isn't Oselli the top pick? Why is he relegated to a secondary role behind Incredibolt?
It is all about the projected collapse depth.
Collapse depth.
Yes, this is a crucial concept. Not every pressured race collapses in the exact same way or to the exact same degree.
Okay, explain that.
Today, while we project a fracture, the report predicts a moderate collapse depth, not a total nuclear meltdown.
Meaning the front runners will stop, but they won't be walking.
Right. The front will snap, but the shape of the race will remain somewhat orderly for the stalkers sitting right behind them. Oselli's pattern feels more like a horse who collects the pieces after a complete, catastrophic meltdown.
He needs utter destruction up front.
He needs the leaders to absolutely self-destruct so that they're coming back to him rapidly. If the front only fractures moderately, Incredibolt, who is positioned much closer to the pace, will inherit the lead and get the jump on Oselli.
Oh, I see.
By the time Oselli's massive late engine revs up, Incredible will already have a two-length advantage in the stretch.
Which perfectly illustrates the doctrine. Satellites collect wins, ghosts collect pieces. Ocelli is very usable, highly dangerous underneath in our exotic bets, but he relies entirely on the front end destroying itself completely.
Exactly. And the horse most likely to trigger that destruction is our next profile, the chaos agent himself. Number 6, Chip Honcho.
Chip Honcho. This is such a fascinating profile to unpack. He's an E7. He hasn't raced in 56 days since a disappointing run in the Louisiana Derby. He's trained by Steve Asmussen. How does a horse coming off a long layoff and a bad loss become the pivot point for a $2 million race?
Chip Honcho is the horse that changed the Racing Form Report's entire outlook upon reviewing the Brisnet sheets.
Really? He was the key.
Yeah. Initially, a casual glance might make you think he's just a tactical grinder who lost his form. But that E7 label is critical. It defines his physiological imperative. It means he must participate early. He isn't just fast, he is fundamentally committed to the front layer of the race.
Let's contrast his 2 previous starts to see the cost of that commitment. Look at his Risen Star run back in February. He went straight to the lead, dueled the entire way, dug in fiercely, and finished second, earning a massive 97 speed figure. He looked like a warrior.
He did.
But then look at the Louisiana Derby. He didn't get the lead. He stalked 3 wide, carried the pressure, faded badly in the stretch, and only managed an 89 speed figure, finishing a well-beaten 5th.
That Louisiana Derby run is the absolute empirical proof of the physical cost of carrying pressure for an E7 time.
It just drained him.
Completely. When a pure speed horse has to fight for early space and then has to carry that unresolved pressure late into the race without ever getting a breather, they wilt. They cannot sustain the oxygen debt.
So what's his role today?
In today's Preakness, he is a disruptor. His job, quite frankly, isn't necessarily to win the race. His job is to break somebody else.
Wow. He's a hitman.
He is the heat horse. He is going to ensure that Taj Mahal does not get a free, comfortable ride on the rail.
So we've analyzed the underlying geometry, we've broken down the static form traps, and we have our cast of characters. We know what is supposed to happen based on the blueprint of a 7.8 fracture.
That's the baseline.
But as any seasoned bettor knows, the race you handicap on Friday night often mutates completely in the first 3 seconds after the gates open on Saturday.
Let's explore the alternate realities. Let's dive into the what-if scenarios generated by the report, starting with the scenarios that guarantee pure chaos. Before we simulate these specific scenarios, we need to introduce a pivotal concept that governs all of them. It's something intermediate bettors must understand to elevate their game.
What's that?
Psychological pace.
I love this concept. Let's unpack the difference between psychological pace and physical pace. Because a lot of bettors just look at the fractional times on the teletimer, right? They see a 46-second half mile and think, okay, that's fast. Or they see a 48-second half mile and think, okay, that's slow. What are they missing?
They are missing the biological reality of the animal. A calm 46-second half mile and a violent 46-second half mile are entirely different physical and emotional experiences for the horse.
Right.
The raw physical fractions on the clock do not account for the emotional exhaustion, the adrenaline spikes, and the cortisol release of absorbing constant pressure.
Think about it this way. If a horse is out on the lead by 3 lengths, running completely alone, their ears are pricked forward, their breathing is rhythmic and deep, and they run a 46-second half mile that is effortless speed, they are slowing. But if that exact same horse is running a 46-second half mile while pinned on the inside rail, with another horse breathing directly down his neck, bumping shoulders, the jockey constantly scrubbing the reins just to hold position, the physical clock says 46 seconds, but the biological battery is draining twice as fast.
That is a perfect explanation. Horses are herd animals with a hyperactive fight-or-flight response. Their vision is designed to detect motion around them.
So they see everything coming at them.
Yeah, they react emotionally to crowding, to the physical intimidation of other horses entering their space. That emotional reaction spikes their heart rate independently of their physical exertion. That is psychological pace.
And it's why the break from the starting gate is the most vital moment of the race. Which brings us perfectly to scenario 1 from the report. What if Taj Mahal breaks poorly?
This is a huge what if.
Let's set the physical scene. The bell rings, the gates crash open. Taj Mahal, down on the inside rail in post 1, hesitates for just a fraction of a second. Maybe he shifts his weight wrong. Or maybe the horse to his immediate outside shifts in sharply and pinches him. What is the immediate consequence?
It triggers an instant geometric chain reaction. If the rail anchor misses the brake, A massive vacuum opens up on the inside fin.
And everyone wants that rail.
Everyone. That rail is highly valuable real estate because it's the shortest way around the track. So the entire front layer of the field compresses inward instantly to claim that space. Chip Honcho from post 6, Iron Honor from post 9, the hell we did from post 7, they all rush diagonally to fill the vacuum left by Taj Mahal.
And suddenly, instead of Taj Mahal smoothly controlling the pace from the inside, we have a 3 or 4 horse tactical knife fight for the lead with horses crossing over each other.
Yes. The race flips in a matter of strides from controlled pressure into sheer survival pressure. The psychological pace goes through the roof. The jockeys are yelling, horses are reacting to the sudden crowding.
And what about Taj Mahal?
Taj Mahal, the horse who desperately needs comfort to deploy his speed, is now buried inside, taking dirt in his face, trapped behind a wall of EP congestion. This is literally his designated lose-if condition.
Wow, my deduction here is that this scenario is an absolute dream for our stalkers.
Yeah.
Who benefits the most if Taj Mahal misses the break?
This heavily favors our satellite and ghost profiles. Incredible, sitting out in post 12, is completely immune to the inward crush.
He just watches it happen.
Exactly. He watches the front tear itself apart from a safe distance, tracks the leaders as they exhaust themselves in the psychological warfare, and inherits the lead smoothly on the far turn.
And Ocelli.
Ocelli also gets the deep, chaotic collapse he needs to run his race from the clouds. Even a horse like Talkin, the EP5, might inherit a clean spot just behind the early mess as the speed horses annihilate each other.
Okay, let's pivot to scenario 4 from the report, because this is where the race dynamics get really explosive. What if Chip Honcho sends hard?
Oh, this one is fun.
We establish he's an E7. He's coming off a 56-day layoff, he's fresh, his battery is at 100%, and he has Jose Ortiz in the saddle. What if Steve Asmussen told Ortiz in the paddock, don't get cute, don't try to stalk, just drop the hammer and send him for the lead?
If Chip Honcho aggressively commits from the jump and crosses over from post 6, Taj Mahal immediately loses his comfort zone.
Instantly.
Yeah, Taj has to expend massive amounts of energy to hold the rail against a horse that is actively trying to take it from him. But the chaos doesn't stop with those two.
Right, because of the domino effect.
Exactly. Iron Honor, who has high tactical speed from post 9, gets dragged forward into the fray because he doesn't want to lose touch with the leaders. The hell we did in EP8 gets pulled into the vortex of pressure.
If Chip Honcho forces a 45-second opening half mile, my read is that Taj Mahal is dead in the water, and the entire front of the race is compromised. The first half mile becomes incredibly expensive.
Very expensive. The shape of the race transforms entirely. It is no longer a controlled fracture, where the satellite inherits the lead nicely. It becomes a late inheritance collapse.
A late inheritance collapse.
Yes. The front won't just snap, it will melt down completely. The leaders will be staggering at the 8th pole.
And if they are staggering, who is the primary beneficiary?
Ocelli.
The ghosts.
His deep closing ghost profile perfectly fits this exact scenario. A late inheritance collapse provides the maximum amount of pace damage for a ghost to collect.
So if you think Ortiz is sending Chip Honcho, you bet us, Sally.
If you firmly believe Chip Honcho is going to be sent on a suicide mission for the lead, Ocelli becomes your most mathematically probable winner, with Incredibolt still right there to pick up the pieces if Ocelli encounters traffic.
But chaos is just one side of the coin. It's exciting to predict meltdowns and envision deep closers weaving through tired horses like a movie scene.
Right? It makes for great TV.
It does. But as bettors, we have to be prepared for the times when the fireworks never go off. Let's shift our focus to the what-if scenarios involving anti-chaos and hidden dangers.
This is a crucial transition because bettors often fall in love with the idea of a historic pace duel that never actually materializes on the track. We have to understand the mechanisms that prevent chaos.
Let's start with scenario 2. What if Taj Mahal clears easily? Let's say he really is just a freak of nature. He breaks like a gunshot, Sheldon Russell gets him clear by a length and a half heading into the first turn, and he drops the bit, relaxes, and pricks his ears.
I classify this as the anti-chaos outcome.
Okay.
If Taj Mahal is allowed to dictate the geometry without harassment, if Chip Honcho decides to take back, if Iron Honor doesn't push, the race stability score drops instantly from an 8.0 down to a 3 or a 4.
Wow, that's a massive drop.
It becomes a stable front control race.
And in a stable front race, the entire dynamic shifts. The stalkers trigger their runs too late because they are waiting for a pace collapse that isn't coming, and the deep closers simply run out of runway.
Exactly. The physical fractions on the teletimer might still look relatively fast. He might go 47 seconds for the half, but the psychological pace is incredibly low.
He's just cruising.
Taj Mahal is comfortable. His heart rate is steady. When they turn for home and Incredible finally tries to trigger his run, Taj Mahal will simply have too much gas left in the tank.
Right. If Taj Mahal runs his final quarter mile in 24 seconds, it is mathematically impossible for a horse 2 lengths behind him to close that gap unless they run a 23-second quarter, which is incredibly difficult on dirt at this distance.
Almost impossible.
Yeah.
The shape tilts entirely back to the forward layer. Taj Mahal wins, Iron Honor holds on if he's tracking cleanly, and Talkin runs third.
So if your read on the race is that Taj clears easily, you must build your tickets around the anchor.
Without a doubt.
But hold on, let me push back on this with scenario 5 from the report. What if nobody goes? This is the hidden danger that always traps people. With this many E and EP types, we listed 9 horses with early speed. How is it physically possible that nobody goes to the front?
It seems impossible on paper, but it happens because of the psychology of Grade 1 riders.
Okay, explain that.
This is the Preakness Stakes. The purse is $2 million. These elite jockeys have all read the exact same Brisnet past performances we have. They all know there is a massive amount of early speed signed on.
So they're expecting a war.
Yes. And sometimes, when everyone expects a nuclear war on the front end, the jockeys engage in a massive game of chicken. They all become overly cautious. They all take a strong hold of their horses out of the gate, trying to outsmart each other, trying to avoid being the one who foolishly burns out their horse in a duel.
Ah, the classic after you, Alphonse situation. Everyone is waiting for someone else to make the first move.
Exactly. The race becomes strangely polite. They might crawl the first half mile in 48 or even 49 seconds.
And if they are crawling, what does that do to the geometry of the race? Does it completely eliminate the closers?
It absolutely annihilates the deep closers. It kills Ocelli's chances entirely. A ghost cannot collect pieces if there is no pace damage to collect.
That makes total sense.
If nobody goes, the race turns into a pure sprint for the final 3 furlongs. It heavily favors Taj Mahal to just walk the dog on the lead and sprint home, and it heavily favors tactical horses like Talkin, who have the acceleration to sit right behind a slow pace and pounce.
Okay, there is one more vital scenario to cover. Scenario 3. What if the mid-pack compresses? We saw a version of this derby-style danger just a few weeks ago at Churchill Downs.
Mid-pack compression is a fascinating phenomenon. It doesn't necessarily mean a spill or a catastrophic disaster. It just means checking, clipping heels, drifting, or what I call accordion pressure.
Accordion pressure.
When you have a massive field of 13 horses and the lanes start closing as they navigate the turns, the horses living between lanes, the ones who aren't on the lead but aren't in the back, they suffer the most.
You're talking about the horses trying to maintain tactical position in the middle of the swarm. Horses like Napoleon Solo, Talkin, and Iron Honor.
Yes. Imagine you are an EP type, trying to maintain a tactical spot in the middle of the pack. Suddenly, the pace slows up abruptly in front of you. You get the accordion effect. The jockey has to snatch the horse up, losing all forward momentum, wait for a lane to open, and then try to re-accelerate a 1,200-pound animal.
That sounds exhausting.
The biomechanics of stopping and starting like that are brutal. It drains the horse's energy reserves rapidly.
So if the mid-pack becomes an accordion, who survives? Who is immune to that compression?
True P-types are immune. Satellites like Incredibolt, and even longer-shot stalkers like Bull by the Horns.
Why them specifically?
Because their trigger points are specifically designed to adapt to fluid races. They don't demand space early. They patiently inherit space late. They are protected from the accordion effect because they are already sitting back, detached from the tight pack, waiting for the race to develop before they make their one sustained run.
They never have to hit the brakes because they never put themselves in the traffic jam to begin with.
Exactly.
So we've analyzed the foundational geometry, we've gone through the static form and the public traps, and we've mapped out the alternate realities of chaos and anti-chaos. But you can't go to the betting window and hand the teller a geometry textbook.
No, they won't accept that.
You have to actually structure your tickets to monetize this data. Transitioning into the practical application, let's look at exotics, fade candidates, and bet construction from the report.
To build profitable exotic tickets, your exactas, your trifectas, you need to deeply understand the underneath horses. These are the horses who might not have the perfect profile to win, but they possess the specific characteristics to hit the board at a lucrative price.
Let's start with number 9, Iron Honor. The report explicitly labels him a chaos horse.
He really is.
If we look at his numbers, he has the highest prime power rating in the entire field at 145.2. He won the Gotham Stakes, a grade 3, going a mile in the mud back in February, posting a 95 speed figure. But then he completely flopped in the Wood Memorial, finishing an uncompetitive 7th. And today, trainer Chad Brown is making a massive equipment change. He's taking the blinkers off.
Iron Honor is an incredibly dangerous puzzle, but he's currently parked in that crowded EP7 band. Taking the blinkers off is a fascinating psychological and physical move by Chad Brown.
Why is that?
Usually, blinkers restrict a horse's peripheral vision to keep them focused and aggressively moving forward. Removing the blinkers expands their visual field, which often encourages a horse to relax early in the race. This suggests Chad Brown knows the front is going to be an absolute war zone and wants Iron Honor to settle just behind it.
He wants him to transform into a satellite. He wants him to stop being an EP and start being a P.
Precisely. He's trying to manufacture a satellite trip for a horse that has historically been aggressive. If Iron Honor actually relaxes without the blinkers, his 145.2 prime power makes him a massive threat underneath.
But he's still a risk.
He remains a chaos horse because he still needs the right trip geometry to unfold. He needs the horses inside of him to duel and clear out while he sits clean on the outside. He is high risk, high reward.
Got it. Let's look at number 5, Talkin. He is labeled an EP5 inheritor. He finished 3rd in the Bluegrass Stakes behind Further Ado, earning a solid 91 speed figure. He fired a very sharp 4-furlong workout on May 9th at Keeneland, going 47-3. And he has Irad Ortiz Jr. riding for Danny Gargan.
Talkin is a very useful horse to use in your exotics if the race erodes slowly rather than snapping all at once.
Okay, because he's an EP5.
Right, because he's an EP5, he's not nearly as committed to the early heat as the 7s and 8s.
Yeah.
He has the tactical ability to sit in the inheritance band right behind the leaders.
So if Taj Mahal and Chip Honcho tire gradually over the final quarter mile,
Talkin is positioned perfectly to pick up the pieces before the true deep closers like Oselli can arrive. He is a must-use underneath in your exactus.
what about number 7, The Hell We Did? He was 2nd in the Lexington Stakes, but he's an EP8 type. Todd Fincher trains, Lucius rides.
He is the definition of the trap we discussed earlier.
The trap.
He's an EP8 drawn in the middle of a field full of other EP horses. That means his trigger point is highly compromised. To run his best race, he has to commit early, but because he's drawn in post 7, he's going to get caught up in the diagonal rush and the tactical knife fight.
It's just a bad spot.
It is. He's a live horse because he has undeniable talent. He posted a 93 speed figure at Sunland Park, but his geometry today is terrible. I would use him very sparingly.
And finally, before we build the tickets, we have to talk about a major fade candidate, a horse the public might bet, but the report says we need to avoid entirely. Number 10, Napoleon Solo.
Yeah, stay away.
He has a 143.7 prime power, the 3rd highest in the field. He won the Grade 1 Champagne Stakes as a 2-year-old. Paco Lopez is riding. But the report says we need to be strictly against him. Why fade a Grade 1 winner?
Because of his contest tolerance, or rather, his complete lack thereof. He has absolute brilliance on paper, but look closely at his 3-year-old campaign. In Fountain Youth, he finished 5th. In the Wood Memorial, he finished 5th. The Brisbane trip comments tell the real story of his psychology. Awkward start, empty, weakened.
Oh, I see it. He's a bully who doesn't like getting punched back.
That's a great way to put it.
If things go his way, he's brilliant. If he faces adversity, he folds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a false anchor. He looks incredibly powerful on a static spreadsheet, but he cannot survive physical or psychological pressure. When another horse looks him in the eye and heads him, or when he's asked to sustain a long, grinding drive against other horses, he simply fades.
And in a race like this,
Right. In a projected 7.8 fracture race, with this much tactical crowding and mid-pack compression, Napoleon Solo is going to face immense pressure from the moment the gates open. He is a prime fade candidate today. Do not put him on your tickets.
okay, so let's put all this theory, all this geometry into an actionable blueprint. How is the Racing Form report actually structuring the bets for this $2 million Preakness? We need to manage our risk while maximizing our upside.
The betting structure is designed to leverage the most mathematically probable geometric outcome, the 7.8 fracture favoring a satellite, while actively allocating a portion of the bankroll to cover the most dangerous alternate realities.
Okay, give us the blueprint.
Here is the exact blueprint laid out in the report. The primary win bet is on number 12, Incredible.
We are betting that the front fractures and he inherits the lead smoothly.
Yes, and the exacta core is built entirely around him. We play 12 over 1, which is Taj Mahal, 2, which is Oselli, 7, The Hell We Did, and 5, Talkin.
So that structure covers incredible winning, with the rail anchor, the deep closing ghost, and the EP inheritors finishing second. That makes total sense. But what about the anti-chaos scenario? What if Taj Mahal really is just a freak of nature and wires the field?
That is exactly where the exacta saver comes in. You cannot ignore that possibility.
Right.
We play a smaller ticket of 1 Taj Mahal over 12 Incredibold and 2 Ocelli. This acts as an insurance policy. It protects your bankroll against scenario 2, ensuring that if Taj Mahal clears easily and dictates a slow psychological pace, you still cash a ticket.
Smart bankroll management approach. It respects the fundamental premise we started with. We are handicapping a prediction, not a certainty. By structuring the tickets this way, you are monetizing the most likely fracture scenario based on the herd geometry, while responsibly insuring yourself against the rail horse simply being too talented to catch.
Precisely. The race is ultimately won in the specific lane where the geometry resolves itself. And with this many talented horses living in the exact same forward lane, forcing the pressure to a 7.8 fracture point, the mathematical advantage belongs to the horse waiting patiently just behind them.
Which brings us full circle to the very beginning of our deep dive. This Preakness stakes isn't just about raw speed. It's not about who has the biggest arbitrary number printed on a piece of paper. It's about who survives the first shape change.
Absolutely.
The published fractions from past races are an illusion. The break from the gate today is the real race.
If you take absolutely nothing else away from our analysis today, remember this. A horse race is a living, breathing, moving pressure system. It is not an engineering diagram. The numbers matter, but the physical reality of how those animals interact matters infinitely more.
So what does this all mean for you? The next time you are sitting at the track looking at a Brisnet sheet packed with high-speed figures, bullet workouts, and undefeated records, I want you to stop and ask yourself a different set of questions.
Hard questions.
Exactly. Are these horses actually going to be allowed to run their ideal race today? Or are they unknowingly walking into a tactical trap they cannot escape? How will your entire betting strategy shift in the first 3 seconds after the gate opens?
Because in a race as complex as the Preakness, the race you spend all week handicapping might cease to exist by the time the field hits the first turn. You have to anticipate the chaos, keep reading the race, stay flexible, and keep finding the winner.
Farewell from the deep dive.